Hey folks, how you all doing? It's me, Tug Morkel here again, and I'm going to talk about moral injury and the events in life that determine feelings of guilt, shame, anger, and remorse, along with post-traumatic stress disorder and bipolar disorder. I've had to try and soldier on um, to try and preserve my trust in other people. Um, and as a consequence, I developed my framework called D.R.E.A.M.S. So I'm going to read again from chapter 8 of my book, um, Tug's Trek, and I talk about my time in the Rhodesian SAS. I continue. As ZANLA, that's the Zimbabwe National Liberation Army, the army of Robert Mugabe, as ZANLA put in a big push to infiltrate the country in large numbers, our resources were stretched at every level, and our military hierarchy made contingency plans to counter their operations. We also had ZIPRA to contend with. ZIPRA was Nkomo's um, army, guerrilla army, Zimbabwe People's Republican Army. So we had them to contend with. So the biggest security force external, we used to call them externals when we went into neighboring countries. The biggest security force external of the entire war was about to happen in early September 79, deep within southern Mozambique. In theory, the operation would limit the enemy's infiltration capability. Simple as it may have seemed at the time, some thought it a spontaneous reaction. To me, it did not make sense. How would this work? We only had so many helicopters and Dakotas and very few paratroopers. The officers behind the planning knew much more, though. The foot soldiers remained informed on the need to know basis. They told us nothing. Despite my thinking, the COMOP strategy was to systematically cripple ZANLA's transport and route infrastructure, forcing them into a long walk from their bases. The hot, dry conditions in the Gaza province before the onset of the rainy season would prove a daunting challenge. There would be very there would be little drinking water en route, meaning they would have to carry it. Then, if we were to destroy the railway line to Malvernia, lay mines on most of the roads, and put to flight the enemy in Mapai, we could force them beyond Aldea de D.R.E.A.M. Success in these operations would present a grueling and burdensome trek for the enemy, who would need to physically carry their weapons and equipment over long distances. We could prevent the entire onslaught from ZANLA and destroy Mugabe. We continued to train for our specialist roles and got acquainted with each other's roles. In my assigned sticker 4, I had worked with my corporal and was now introduced to an infamous American from Tennessee. He came looking for Tug and then said, "Hey man, I'll be calling you Thug." Another troopie who'd been on the same selection course as I would make up the fourth. We kept up our levels of fitness and were introduced to wearing helmets for the first time. We would only wear them during the assault of Mapai, which would afford us protection from mortar shrapnel. Speed was the norm for us in the traditional camp attack, but Mapai would be slow going. We tracked towards an airfield in the Operation Repulse area, and Captain Bob McKenna ordered us to wash the road dust from our throats. We camped for the night and played poker. We arrived the next day. The weather in southern Mozambique was good through most of the year, and we looked forward to the op without fear of rain or low cloud cover to hamper the efforts of the Air Force in providing us with overhead protection. The familiar exchange of banter and dark humor was ever present from troops lounging around under the shade. The squadron was on 24 hours short notice to move, but our commanding officer came around sooner than expected and gave the order to move immediately. My confidence was boosted when he mentioned South African Mirage attack jets were only 2 minutes away. It was obvious that D Squadron were there too. I had seen them before at Kabrit. From our internal airbase at Chapinda Pools in the southeast of Rhodesia, we flew in South African Air Force Puma helicopters to an external base 200 kilometers into Gaza province. So there we have it. We were actually going to strike um, our bridges and the town of Mapai from an internal base inside the neighboring country of Mozambique, some 200 clicks deep, deep inside, close to Maputo. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one. I'll keep reading, and we're building towards a memoir of moral injury. And there may be some of you out there that have the same nightmares, flashbacks, um, and may find this interesting. Cheers for now.